Studying, note-taking, memorizing, these tools have evolved and developed throughout the years. The disability to write on parchment paper led to the invention of printing in the 15th century. Printing made writing down things on a piece of paper nearly effortless. This led to short-form novels, to books, to encyclopedias, and with that came selective reading. Selective reading is the process of reading with purpose. Through selective reading, the need to memorize important descriptions in text became greater and greater, thus creating note-taking. And over the years, we developed better note-taking and different styles of note-taking, like the Cornell method of note-taking. And as technology advanced, so did the process of note-taking. Fast forward to present day, and we now have the capability to maximize fluidity between a multitude of devices. If one needed to send a document from their phone to their computer and iPad and annotate that document in only 60 seconds, it is completely possible. That intro was just a fancy way of saying that us as students and as intellectuals have made it common practice to utilize technology for our studying and note-taking. All my life through middle school, high school, my first year in college, I've used the traditional note-taking and studying method. I would utilize a bunch of different colored pens, pencils, notebooks, binders, folders, school textbooks, etc. I realized that as my college courses got more and more difficult, there was a cap or limit to the traditional method of note-taking. I knew that there must have been a better way to study or note-take, and definitely a more effective way of just writing down information and memorizing it. So I went on YouTube, I watched a couple videos, and I drove to the nearest Best Buy and bought this iPad. Specifically, this is the iPad 9th generation 10.2 inch. Obviously there's bigger sizes, there's newer generations, but because I am a broke college kid, I went with this cheap version, but it's still a great product. And the app that I paired alongside to this iPad is GoodNotes, and I can't say enough good things about GoodNotes. It is a fantastic app for note-taking. It's up there with Notability. I'd say it's even better than Notability just because it's not a subscription-based note-taking app, but I could make a whole nother video, and I probably will make a whole nother video about GoodNotes, but wait for that. Of course, the iPad does have some negative attributes about it, but I would say the overall experience has been a net positive. In this video, I'm going to share the 3 different ways that the iPad has changed me as a student. Hi everyone, my name is Sam. I'm currently a junior at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I use the iPad every single day for my studying. One of the biggest headaches I had as a student before buying this iPad was carrying around multiple school textbooks, notebooks, and a multitude of pencils and pens. This is an example of a portion of college textbooks that I had to buy for one of my semesters, and this doesn't even take everything into account because I had a huge chemistry textbook that I gave away, but it just shows you the sheer magnitude and weight that these have. And let me just grab my iPad real quick, opposed to this, just a simple iPad I can flip around. Let me grab the two just to show you guys. Here's a nice little comparison of it's kind of hard to even keep these up. So if you want one reason to get an iPad, it's because of its portability. And no, I didn't have to carry around each of those every single day, but I think it's a great depiction of just the sheer amount of space and room that all these textbooks takes up, not only in my room, but also in my backpack. Now, getting those textbooks in and out of my backpack every single day was a hassle. But with the iPad, all I have to do is just close this cover, put this pen in its little holster, I guess, and put it in my backpack. It has my digital textbooks, my different pens, pencils, multiple notebooks. Anything I want is here. Instead of having a heavy backpack and maybe scared that I forgot a certain notebook or textbook for a course I needed in a specific day, I have it all condensed into my iPad. And I'm going home to visit my family next weekend. The iPad makes it so easy to carry it around through security, through the airport, and to keep up with my studies while I'm at home. And you can never run out of paper or pen ink with this iPad. It has unlimited pages to work on. And personally, I don't want to say I would waste notebook paper, but I feel like I wouldn't utilize it to its full potential. I would want to do practice problems scattered around my notebook. But with the iPad, I don't have to worry about losing like a portion of my notebook. I have unlimited pages to write on. I have unlimited sections of good notes that I can label as practice problems and just keep swiping on pages to have unlimited room to do whatever I want to work on. And being able to have limitless displays on my iPad and not feel guilty about using a lot of paper is just great. So definitely use the iPad for its portability. That's one of the best features that it has against traditional studying and note-taking. The ability to look up a specific word or phrase in a 200-word lecture cannot be understated. There would be so many times where I'd find something confusing in a lecture. I would go to try to find it and search for it in my textbook, and I just wouldn't be able to find it. That problem is completely eliminated with the iPad. So to put this into effect and to show you guys what I'm talking about, I have my PowerPoint slides for all of my exam 2 for genetics. You can just see the sheer amount of PowerPoint slides I have here, 223 different pages here. And let me just give an example. Let's say I wanted to look up something about small inferring RNA. I just look it up right there. It gives me 4 different matches where it is found through all of the 223 different slides. And I can just reference it at will here, and I don't have to worry about not finding any information about it. So yeah, that's an example of how I do that. Also, having the capability to take visuals from my computer or phone and to just plop them anywhere in my notes is amazing. For an example of how I take information from the web and place it onto my slides, I have some lectures from a few semesters ago, General Biology 2. We were talking about seedless plants, seed plants. You can see I just dragged and dropped a bunch of information from different resources, give me some good visuals. So when I'm going back through my notes, I have visual aids to help me with my studying. It just makes note-taking fun, like there's so many ways to take notes and to make visuals and to make it appealing for your study style. It just makes note-taking easy, accessible, and fun. I also use my iPad when I'm tutoring for chemistry, so when I go on Zoom and I need to display my screen and to make annotations while on Zoom with other students while I'm tutoring them, the iPad is a great tool to use because they can see my notations in real time, and it's just easy for everybody. Now the iPad comes in useful for portability, accessibility, but also if you're a pre-med, pre-dental, pre-whatever, it is amazing for your courses. And you never have to worry about losing your study material also. I hated that feeling when I spilled something on my notebook paper or I just lost a piece of notebook paper, but you never have that feeling or guilt with an iPad. Now there's an obvious con with the price of the iPad. It is rather expensive. Mine was, I believe, just over $300 for this, but if you want to get a bigger screen or a newer generation, you're looking at $400, $500, $600. But there is also eliminated costs as well with buying an iPad. You are eliminating the cost of notebooks, of different pens and pencils. You are eliminating those costs, so take that into account when you're looking at the positives and negatives of an iPad. Also, an eliminated cost that is very underrated is not having to print out worksheets, practice problems, because those costs can add up. I know some universities like mine, it's 5 cents per page, but if you're printing out 100 pages, that's $5. So all that money from notebooks, printing out paper, that all adds up, and if you can make the investment for an iPad, I would definitely do so. I think it saves you in the long run. Another con that I really want to emphasize is that if you're struggling in school, the iPad is not a magic device that can magically get you study skills, make it easier to memorize. You really have to work at it yourself. Now, if you have terrible study habits and study skills, the only difference an iPad will make besides, portability, accessibility, will be the cost to it. You really have to work at it yourself. These tools that I shared with you today only work if you study. iPads can only aid in your studying and note-taking, but they can't study for you. You still have to put in that work. So don't expect when you buy an iPad to just be a better student, to be an A+ student. Although it helps you and it's easier and more accessible for a lot of things, you still have to make that effort and study. There's other minute downsides to an iPad, like not writing on traditional paper, that a lot of people complain about, but I didn't see that problem myself, so I'm not really going to dive too deep into it. And there you guys have it. That is my full breakdown on the iPad. And there you guys have it. That is my full breakdown on the iPad for a student. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and feel free to subscribe. I post every single Wednesday, so subscribe to see those new videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.